guys, and welcome back to the Saints VD channel for something content for another episode of TSV transfer talk. Now, it's been quite quiet this week on the transfer front in terms of links with Southampton, but we have been hearing more stories about a possible departure this summer for Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg. So in this video we're going to be talking about whether we think he should be sold this summer or whether we should try and keep him on. But before we get into it, do make sure you have hit subscribe. We're on the road to 3,000 subscribers, it'd be massively appreciated. And recently I've started my own YouTube channel and I will leave the link in the description below there if you want to subscribe to that. Basically videos like this but about general football, to be honest, while we're in lockdown and we're trying to sort of entertain ourselves. Follow us on our socials as well. Right, let's get into the video. Now, it has been reported that both Tottenham and Everton are interested in Hojbjerg and that both clubs wanted him back in January, but bids didn't really develop and essentially he's still a Southampton player. And all this transfer talk's coming around now because he has just got over a year left on his contract at Southampton, which basically means that if he doesn't sign a new contract and he doesn't leave Southampton, he'll play half a season and then come next January he'll be free to sign with anyone and leave as a free agent, which personally I don't think we should be doing, but I'll get onto that later in the video. From what we know, he hasn't been offered a new contract by the club yet. I think also the fact that we've gone into lockdown and football's been suspended hasn't really helped the contract talks about whether he will renew or not, but it definitely seems like there's keen interest from other teams in the Premier League who want to acquire Hojbjerg's signature. So should we sell him now or should we try and offer him a contract and keep him? Now, starting off why Saints should keep Hojbjerg on and try and give him a new contract. First of all, he's our captain. He's been a key part of the Ralph Hasenhüttl model over the last season and a half. Yes, granted, this season he hasn't been up to scratch compared to last campaign where he was exceptional and my personal choice for player of the season. Despite being under par this season in the Premier League, he has won possession 30 more times than any other player in the entire league, which makes him one of the league's better defensive minded midfielders. The other thing that I love about Hojbjerg is something that we forget: he's so young, still 24. He speaks like an experienced 50-year-old man. I'll never forget the post-match interview he did after we drew 2-2 against Brighton last season, saying it wasn't good enough. You know, that's the sort of Pierre Hojbjerg we like to see, and that's what got him the captain's armband. Granted, I don't think he's the best captain we could have at the moment. I don't really feel he's that suited to the role, but we don't really have a leader regardless in the squad, so I can obviously understand why he was given the armband in the first place. And as captain, he has shown lots of affection for the fans and for the club. You know, granted, like I've said, this season he's been under par, but you can see how it affects him, and even if he does leave the club, I'm pretty convinced that he holds the club very dearly in his heart. And another thing, why would he want to go to another big club? I know there's still plenty of time for him to achieve lots in his career, but you know, he was already at Bayern Munich, it didn't work out there, he wasn't getting the game time, so you know, stay at Southampton, possibly push for Europe, but never really the top titles, and guaranteed football every week, and go down as a hero, essentially, you know, well adored by the fans, and essentially it's pretty comfortable. Now, of course, I'm saying this assuming that he will sign a new contract. I'm not convinced that he will be signing a new contract, and that puts me on to my next point, why we should sell him this summer. I've already mentioned it before in this video. This season he's been pretty under par. Ward-Prowse by far the much better midfielder this season. Armstrong as well, a better midfielder than him. Sometimes he just gives the ball away way too carelessly and it's not good enough, essentially, especially from your captain. You know, he has to lead from example. He's a very hot and cold player. When he's playing well, he's exceptional, one of the best players on the pitch, but when it's a bad day at the office for him, you know, he can be lazy, he can misplace passes, just not really concentrate, which is a shame because, like I said, he's our captain and he has proved before that he can be an exceptional player. And another thing, I'm not actually that convinced that he's keen enough to sign a new contract. I think there is a possibility that he has been offered the opportunity to sign. I also imagine that his agent is probably quite keen to get him to move on, you know, and maybe Pierre does feel like that. You know, he's done 4 seasons at Southampton, now it's time to push on and try and achieve a bit more. Now that he's 24, you know, like I've said before, he was at Bayern, wasn't getting the game time, so that's why he joined Southampton. Now 4 years later, he's a more experienced, level-headed player. Any player wants to test themselves at the top level, and so maybe now he feels like it's the right time for a move. And if he does feel like that and he doesn't want to sign a new contract, the club have to sell him. They have to cash in this summer, because I'm very convinced that another season of Pierre Hojbjerg and let him go for free as opposed to getting maybe 30 million for him this summer, and then bring in another new midfielder, I think we're going to be better off getting the money now than having him for another season. You know, it's pretty clear to see that the majority, if not all of our transfer funds that will be available in this summer, you know, they'll come from player sales. And so if Pierre wants to leave, then, you know, albeit £30 million, I think he's probably worth close to 50 in this current market. But, you know, we have to accept the fact that he's only got a year left on his contract in the summer, and so that's probably about right. I'd say £30 million. In terms of a replacement, we'd obviously have to see. I think trying to promote Will Smallbone just would be completely unfair. I don't think he's ready at all, and Oriol Romain might also be off, so I think definitely we'd be having to look for a new midfielder, as well as that Armstrong's sort of ageing and his role is a bit more advanced, you know, so I do think we'd have to replace Hojbjerg and find maybe a younger midfielder to slot in next to Ward-Prowse. But it also gives an opportunity to find a new captain, you know, whether that's Ward-Prowse, whether that's, I don't know, maybe Ings, Bednarek at the back, who knows. So we'll have to see in that department. But yeah, overall, personally, my take on it is if he's not going to sign a new contract, we have to sell him this summer. Now, I hate it when our players are sold to other Premier League sides. You know, seeing him rock up at St Mary's in a Spurs shirt, or even worse, an Everton shirt, you know, it would hurt a bit because he's done a lot for this club, and I'm glad to have seen him play. And I think he's been a very good player for us, especially over the last 2 years. But we have to be realistic about it. The transfer funds available in the summer may be limited, and like I've said, we'll rely on player sales. Of course, we've got loads of deadwood that needs to be shipped out anyway, and Hojbjerg's not deadwood at all, but there's absolutely no point keeping him on if he's going to be thinking about his next move, and essentially worse for the club leaving on a free transfer, especially given the fact that we paid £12.5 million for him when he joined in 2016. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you have enjoyed it, leave it a like and let me know in the comment section below what your take on the whole Hojbjerg situation is. Apologies that it's not a longer transfer video this week, you know, not many transfer rumours going around at the moment. But if you are new to the channel, make sure you have hit subscribe and you're following us on all of our socials. I hope you're all staying safe at home, and we'll see you very soon for the next one.